Hi everyone, welcome to the 2018 Saris Brand Advocate product presentation. We've got the four product managers for Saris here with you today to run through our products and some new things we've got coming out that we're excited about. My name is Mike Saris. I manage the bike fixation brand here at Saris. I've been at Saris a little over 7 years. In fact, at the end of the table, Eric Albers helped recruit me to come here. Started in customer service and then was in sales as a regional sales manager on the international side, as well as managing sales territories in the Pacific Northwest. And I've been product manager for the infrastructure category for the last 3 years.
And I'm Brian Terani. I'm the product manager for PowerTap. Prior to me being in this position, Eric Albers at the end of the table was actually doing two roles at the same time. He was Cyclops and PowerTap, and he recently handed off PowerTap duties to me at the beginning of 2018. Prior to that, I worked in bike shops where I actually bought things off of Calvin when he would come through and do his demos. He set me up with my first set of PowerTap wheels, as a matter of fact. That was really nice, thank you very much. Worked out well. Yeah, I love that small world. So I also worked in customer service for a short time before moving through a couple different roles here, mostly in sales, which is what I did before I came into Saris in the first place.
Cool. My name is Kellen Pagel. I'm the Saris Racks product manager. Started at Saris back in 2005 in customer service. Moved into regional manager in the Southeast for about 7 years, and then Midwest regional manager for a couple of years after that. And then recently moved to the product development team back in December, so new to the role.
Awesome. I'm Eric Albers. I am the product manager for the Cyclops category. I've been in my current role as product manager for about 3 years. I started here at Saris almost 10 years ago now, and have had many different roles. I started in customer service. I was customer service manager for a number of years, and then this opportunity on the product side came up, and really allows me to be passionate about the products that I really am excited about. So excited to show you guys some stuff today and talk a little more in depth about our products. Can't wait to hear.
All right, so I'll kick us off with the infrastructure category. So Saris has been doing infrastructure-related products for a long time, actually going back 30 plus years. We've done it under several different brands. You can go all the way back to the brand that preceded Saris, Graber, and we were doing, as you can see, back in the early 80s, very simple parking racks, basically using the leftover materials from the transport racks and reconnoitering them into bike racks. And we did it under the Saris brand and primarily focused around what are called end-of-trip facilities, which is a fancy way to say bike parking racks. And so when I took over 3 years ago, we wanted to maybe switch our approach a little bit in terms of the products we were offering and sort of think about it more in terms of, are there products we can develop that can really look at the barriers that are preventing people from cycling? And so clearly bike parking fills that. There are people that don't bike because they're worried about not finding a place to park their bike, but also safety. Are there products we can develop that make cycling safer? Looking at, if I take a train to work and I can't get my train or I can't get my bike down to the subway, are there products we can offer to help accessibility? I don't want to cycle because I'm worried about getting a flat tire. Are there products that we can do to help sort of get over that hurdle of basically getting people on bikes? And so I'm really excited to sort of share with you some of the new products that tackle those challenges. So the first one, which we just released last month, is our Access Stair Ramp. And it may seem like a very, very simple product, just a ramp going upstairs, but in fact this is the first sort of modular stair ramp system in the US. When you see bicycle stair ramps, generally they are either sort of part of the concrete or they're sort of homemade, sort of put together installation by installation. And so we wanted to create sort of an off-the-shelf product that can be used for any rise or run of stairs, but also have our own sort of cycling background into the DNA of the product. So we've created a product that allows for any tire width, up to 5 inches wide. We have certain angles of the stairwell ramp that keeps the wheels in the ramp if you're just using one hand to go up and down the ramp. So there's small little subtle design details that we apply to it because we're a cycling company. And so in doing that, we have a really cost-effective sort of universal ramp that can be used in many applications.
You mentioned the rise and run. How is that modular for different lengths?
So there are brackets that get installed on the stairs that are tilting. And so all you need to do is provide the total length of the stair you're looking to do, and we'll send you the right lengths, and then the pivoting bracket allows it to meet the different angles.
I like that. That's cool.
And so that's available, just was released last week.
Yeah, it's great. Those little solutions, figuring it out, or like you said, just the simple accessibility things you don't normally think of.
The next product, which will be coming out next month, was a collaborative project we did with the city of Los Angeles, and the idea was, how do we create a delineator or a product that helps separate cyclists from vehicles, but in a way that is easy to install, but also very aesthetically pleasing. A lot of times pop-up and demonstration bike lanes just look like construction zones with traffic cones and bollards sticking up, and it doesn't necessarily create a really enjoyable space. And so we wanted to put sort of a design touch on these temporary delineators. And so we came up in partnering with Los Angeles and an architectural firm, Gensler Architects, with this design called the Wave Delineator. It's freestanding, pops up, literally pops up in a matter of seconds, and you can set up blocks or even miles worth of these in a very short period of time, no tools required, and they're designed for either sort of single day events, so like a sporting event where you want to throw up a pop-up bike lane, or demonstration projects. So a lot of cities want to test out whether this certain corridor would make for a good protected bike lane. They can put these out for a weekend or a week or 2 weeks to sort of see if that's a good candidate for more capital infrastructure. And so we're really excited. This will be available in, as I said, in about a month. And we've done pilots with San Jose, Philadelphia, Madison, Memphis. So we've tested this out in multiple applications and are really excited to flip the switch on this next month.
Do you see the end consumer for this being more municipalities or is there other channels?
Yeah, cities, advocacy groups, anytime that there are sort of demonstration projects going on, or for instance, we're going to be working with the Atlanta Falcons for game days. They're trying to increase the amount of cyclists that come to their football games, and so this would be a great tool for them to put out on game days for a couple hours before the game and a couple hours after, to provide an extra element of safety for all the cyclists that are coming to the game.
That's really great.
I don't think I've been involved in any other parking project, but I can say I was actually involved in this one. Part of a group of people here at the company that crashed into these for an afternoon. We tried to break them and ride into them in ways that would cause damage to us or the bikes. It moves out of the way if you ride your bike into it, and it takes the abuse really well.
Yeah, we don't want to create a product that's ostensibly there to keep you safe if it's actually unsafe for the cyclists. So thank you, Brian, for providing that.
That was a lot of fun.
And lastly, again, sort of on that safety angle, is our cycle guide light. So we originally came out with a version of this a couple of years ago. We imported a product from Denmark. And in several applications, we realized it wasn't quite living up to the durability we wanted to see, specifically in applications where it's installed in a street and you have commercial vehicle traffic going over it. And so we decided to bring the design in-house, and so this is completely from the batteries up designed by our team here. It was sort of a cross-functional group of engineers. Some of the engineers that have worked on Cyclops and PowerTap and some of the Bluetooth stuff have worked on this. And so it's a great sort of cross-collaborative thing we've done. Looking to release it in sort of late summer of this year, and what sort of makes it real special is, first of all, it's a solar-powered light. It doesn't need any sort of external power source. It's smart, so the lights can all communicate to each other. They can also know when they're programmed so at a certain light level they turn on and then they turn off. But also in winter climates where you may have snow that's a snowbank or leaves that are over it, it'll actually go to sleep, preserving battery life. The other sort of technical challenge to this is in areas sort of in northern latitudes where they don't get a lot of light in the winter, or a lot of light in the summer, and so it's hard to know when is it dusk, when is it dawn, and so we've worked with our engineers to sort of come up with a 50-second parallel, we'll call it. Any city within 50 or below 50-second parallel, that would be Edmonton, London, Copenhagen. Those we've sort of optimized it so that in those sort of lower light situations, it still knows to turn on and turn off and capture enough energy to be able to power it. So we're really excited about this light and all the sort of, we've been trying to future-proof it too, and so the ability of the lights to communicate to each other, to be able to tie that into the city grid, to be able to flash when cars are coming by or when cyclists are going through. We're really excited about it. You'll definitely hear a lot more information from us in the next couple months. We're doing pilots right now, and so as we get closer to launch, we'll certainly look to get the message out through our brand advocates.
Seems like one of the most technical products parking side has probably ever done. Really, it's awesome. It's a really neat project.
Yeah, to sort of go from bending aluminum into those wheel bendy schoolyard racks 30 years ago to embracing Bluetooth technology and cycle counting and all sorts of stuff. It's exciting to be part of that movement.
Yeah.
Cool.
Also on to Brian and PowerTap.
Yeah. So quick history on PowerTap. It's been a product and idea for about 20 years, in production since 2001 when the first wired hub went out the door, and those were some pretty major leaps as far as technology goes. So obviously you can't really measure large amounts of work like horsepower from a cyclist. It would be too small of a number. So there were things that could be captured on the bike in a lab like torque that then had to be communicated out in a way that somebody could actually understand on the bike and see changes in value that were big enough to create targets. So that's why we measure cyclist output in watts. So watts is torque time angular velocity. So we can see twisting force inside of the power meter, and then we know how fast it's moving. So pretty easy to capture those two things on the hub once all the electronics are gauged up inside of it. Obviously the torque is measured by the amount of twist you're putting on the free hub, the cassette, and then angular velocity is just counting the number of revolutions that the hub shell makes. So it's a nice tidy package. It's super accurate to measure at that point on the bike, and it's also a unique place. So it's true drivetrain work. So the power from the hub is actually being transmitted down to the ground. There are plenty of other places on the bike that you can measure power, but with the plus and minus of drivetrain efficiency. So this was a really unique product.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's and so at the time when PowerTap was out, the only other competition was SRM, and they measured right in the spindle of the crank, so way far up the drivetrain. PowerTap and SRM have a pretty interesting history in that we're the only third-party validated power meters in the marketplace. So we're sort of benchmarked off of each other quite often, and we've continued to move products forward and introduce new things. So you can see in that history timeline, The first power tap goes out the door after being acquired by Saris in 2001. Then the studies start rolling in, third-party validation as far back as 2002. 2006 is when we went wireless. One of the great things about that is that the people that got wireless technology off the ground still work here. So ANT technology was born in a small way in Madison, Wisconsin. Super important to everything in fitness and outdoors now. I mean, just imagine if your watch and your computer didn't communicate wirelessly, how convoluted cycling would have remained. Moving forward, evolutions of the hub continued through the Gen 2. The Gen 3 was introduced in 2012, a much smaller, more compact product. And then moving forward, the PowerTap P1 pedals is the latest innovation, the newest power meter in 2015, and is really cutting edge technology, tons of innovation.
I still think the hub's the best place to measure power.
I do too, and I just love the simplicity of being able to, I'm going to use my B-bike, on the road, so I just switch out wheels. I can set up tubeless gravel grinder wheels and go and hit the trail. We've got some great infrastructure around the Madison area, so you could pretty easily do a century on just crushed limestone path if you wanted to, and see some really great farmland, and then the next day just swap wheels and away you go. Back into skinny tires.
Yeah.
Right.
That's super nice. So a couple products, and I'll start with our newest. So not a power sensing device, but something that's pretty important to cycling, and that's a magnetless speed or cadence sensor. So the big jump here is that this product can measure speed or cadence without having to put a spoke magnet on, or put a magnet onto your crank arm, or glue something to your frame. It cleans things up quite a bit.
You'd be surprised the amount of calls the customer service gets just on their speed sensor not working, and often it's just that magnet that's just not aligned anymore.
You just
bumped.
got it a little closer. You
Yep.
gotta you don't kick it with your heel.
But not
when you
too
cycle.
close.
Yeah, it's and
It takes all the guesswork
You're
out of it.
ticking all the time. Yeah, so now there's no magnet to tick, no magnet to lose or slide up and down the spoke.
So you're literally just attaching this directly around your hub. Reaching
Exactly.
to the spokes right around the hub.
Yep. And it's a really innovative way to set it up. There's no switch to flip for speed or cadence. It's just when you put the battery in, if it's laying flat as though it's on top of your hub, it'll broadcast speed. If you put the battery in vertically, like it's on your crank arm, it'll broadcast cadence.
Oh, it just knows that?
It just knows it.
It programs itself.
Yeah.
The battery.
Yeah,
Crazy.
which is nice. So, if you've got pedals or a hub, you kind of need one or the other, but not both. So you don't necessarily need both. So a nice little trick about the hub is that, yes, it captures speed directly off of hub shell revolutions. It does an estimated cadence, which is really close.
Pretty good.
It's, I mean,
For most people. I use it.
I mostly rely on it.
I do too.
Yeah, I mean, it's the range it performs really, really well is about 60 RPM to 120, which covers almost everything. If you're, really high spinner or you're doing some sort of drill, then you might want the cadence sensor as well as the hub. If you're riding indoors and you've got the pedals, you might want the speed sensor if you still have a wheel-on trainer.
Sure.
So, good product to have, something you can switch back and forth based on the season. Next up, and it's bread and butter. The product that when you say PowerTap, most people think of right away, and that's the PowerTap hub.
A lot of people call the hub just a power tap.
Yep.
That's what they're meaning when they say power tap is the hub.
My PowerTap, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. Yeah, and it's for good reason. I mean, 20 years of history. Yes, the shell has changed quite a bit. The basic architecture has stayed the same. Some of the innovation has been dropping weight from the design, making it a little bit smaller, creating more connectivity. So it went from being wired to 2.4 wireless, and then ANT plus, and now Bluetooth. That also allowed it to be serviceable in the field. So because they're smart Bluetooth compatible, you can use your phone or desktop to update firmware, do quick checks on battery life and things like that. And that's all done wirelessly out in the field. So that helps keep them rolling out on the road for a really long time. And then we've kept up with the moving standards in the bike world. So different end caps for different hub spacing, disc brake version for mountain biking, gravel grinding, cyclocross, and all of them still rely on that same basic architecture with wireless compatibility to multiple devices and serviceability out in the field. It's super great product. It's probably the most poked and prodded power meter that's out there. Just as recently as last year, there was another study done with a roundup of 53 power meters, and we were ranked as superior, not necessarily because of the accuracy or the dependability, but because of the consistency.
Consistency, that's right. It
Yep.
was.
So you could have 2 or 3 of these in your quiver of wheels, and when you switch from one hub to the next, they're going to be the same measurement. If you use somebody else's power meter and you've got brand X on your A bike and brand, same brand, road bike and triathlon bike, you're going to get different numbers from each of their power meters, even though it's the same model year, same model, same production run. It's just not the same. So another reason to trust us.
Really is the gold standard.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And then our newest power meter, the PowerTap P1 pedal. It comes in 2 flavors. The P1, which is a set of pedals, true dual-sided measurement, and then the P1S. The P1S is a left-only pedal. Lower price point, so it's a little more attractive for that. There's obviously going to be some deficiencies when you're only measuring on one side, but if price is a major concern, it's a really good product to start out with. And there will be the opportunity in 2018 to upgrade. So we're going to release a product that you can buy the right pedal and then pair it in the field to your P1S, and boom, you've got
That's a
7
really
pedals.
good point to what you just said. I mean, the P1 power meter, it's still just as accurate. The problem with the issue we run into is the balance isn't perfect for everybody. That's where it comes in,
Totally.
and that's where that little bit of discrepancy is, because my left leg might be 47% and my other is 53. So it's still just as accurate.
Yeah.
But it's within your legs, the balance within your legs
Yeah.
that make it kind of
And that's true of any single-sided power meter.
Right, sure.
So
Good
anybody else out there that's measuring on a crank arm or a spindle that's not true dual-sided, you end up with the same issue.
Correct.
So having 2 pedals, the full system, also helps unlock what you see up there is the iPhone app for PowerTap Mobile that has advanced pedal metrics on it. So something I use in the winter when I can look at my phone while I'm training on the trainer and actually see what my pedal circle looks like if I'm falling apart because of fatigue or an injury, or if I just want to work on high cadence, smooth pedaling, that sort of thing. It's a good time to focus on the fundamentals during the winter. The biggest change now that we're getting out of the winter and heading into the road riding season, this is going to be a big year for PowerTap. So in 2018, you're going to see a major price reduction for everything in the PowerTap portfolio. So what we've done is, after looking at all of our sales channels, we see who's buying through shops, who's buying online, who's buying directly from us at powertap.com, and we've simplified the channel to a point that we're able to cut costs. So we're taking out some of the extra channels that were in the old sales process, and all of that extra hassle on our end, we're taking that money and passing it along basically to consumers. So the price drop will make us more competitive in the marketplace with some of the, consistent but not accurate, inexpensive power meters.
They're
that
all
are
over
out there.
these days, aren't they?
Yeah.
I can't even count how many power meter companies are out there.
Yeah,
Like I said, there was 2 when we started, and I started 10 years ago. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
and then you look on Kickstarter. I mean, there's bound to be some new ones every couple of months, which is great. I mean, it pushes innovation. It makes us think
Right.
about what they're doing, and we look at where the innovation is coming from and see if we need to move into that space as well. But the big story for 2018 in PowerTap is that we are still just as reliable, just as well respected, but more affordable for the cycling season. So that's something to take to people when you're talking about the product this year.
Yeah, it's a big change in the power meter market. I think I was selling power meters when I started here 10 years ago for just shy of $2,000, and it's crazy.
Yeah, and this year you'll be able to get an incredibly excellent wheel set for the cost of what used to be just the power. Yeah. All right, new guy.
All right. Like Mike had talked at the beginning, Saris has a rich history of product innovations and first-to-market products. So the company originally started in 1974 as Graber Products, and Chris and Sarah Fortune bought the business in 1989 and actually created the Saris brand. The Saris brand is actually a combination of the names Sarah and Chris, so that's how we got Saris. But before it was Saris, there was several innovations and first-to-market items that we had. Our first roof rack was back in 1974, which was the bike porter. It was a 2 and 4 bike model.
I still see them around, man.
Yeah, I see it once in a while too. It was sort of like a strap style like roof rack that had some trays. It was actually pretty cool.
Sometimes they have tennis balls on the back.
They do, of course, yeah.
Right,
You can't get parts for them anymore.
Yeah, so and we were actually the first car rack manufacturer to offer vehicle fit guides, right? When you're strapping, racks to cars and putting bikes on them, right? We need to make sure that it's safe and people aren't going to lose bikes or damage vehicles, right? So we actually were the first company in the bike rack industry in the U.S. to create a vehicle fit guide where we actually go out and look at all the vehicles, make sure the racks fit properly, make sure it's safe, right?
That's really important.
Yeah, could
I
you
remember when I
imagine that?
Yeah.
Well, when I bought
What
my
works?
first rack, I mean, it was just assumed you buy a rack and you just strap it on.
Just put it on and you're good to go.
And
right?
that was probably the case, 25 years ago when all our cars were made out of steel and
Yeah.
everything was easy. Now you got plastic bumpers, aluminum, little fairings.
Super tight tolerances.
Yeah. So that's the change. And that's a lot of work goes into that. By your
absolutely.
team, for
Absolutely.
sure.
A lot of hours, engineering test hours go into
Yeah.
fit. So kind of moving along, in 1993, we were the first one to do the shaker testing. We have a really cool shaker we use to test all of our new racks before production, make sure that they hold up. They actually go through initially through 500 hours of shaker testing that they need to pass before anything goes out on the road. Pretty cool stuff.
I've seen bikes fail on that before the racks.
There are some other cool innovations that we've done. We were the first car rack manufacturer to use a nitrogen gas assist injection that we use in our bones arm. So it's a really cool technology that we pioneered with our gas injection molding for our bones rack arms. We were the first one to do the one bike trunk rack, the Solo, back in 2010, which was kind of a cool, innovative product at the time. A really low cost, really lightweight one bike rack that was super awesome.
I know. I for years I've kept one of those in the trunk of my car.
Yeah, just toss it on and you
yeah,
carry
exactly.
your bike somewhere. I mean, it's
Never-
really small and compact. It's
never know.
It's a 3-pound item, right? So pretty cool. And one piece design. So. And then also we use a CO2 gas assist for our super bones. So kind of building off of that bones nitrogen gas assist, we pioneered the CO2 gas assist technology over in Italy, which was really kind of cool that we did just recently in 2015, which I thought was really neat. So the bones rack was introduced in 1996. That's one of the products that sort of put us on the map. So in '96 that came out. At this point we've got almost 2 million bones racks on the road. So we're really proud of the success of the bones rack, right? I'm sure you've all seen it, are familiar with it. It's kind of one of those items that you walk into any bike shop in America and you'll probably see one.
Yeah.
Back in December of 2014, we received a trademark patent on the bones rack, so a trademark configuration patent on the iconic shape, profile, and design of the bones rack. So nobody can steal that from us. We're really proud of.
That's really important.
They've tried.
Yeah, there's been knockoffs all over the world, and I've seen some pretty poor knockoffs of the bones. So yeah,
It's great how this looks just as innovative in 2018 as it did in 1996. It's crazy. It looks awesome.
Yeah, so nothing quite like the original, but But so building off of that, 2 years ago we came out with the Super Bones that I mentioned a minute ago. The Super Bones kind of uses that same classic profile of the bones rack, but it moves the straps into the legs, and we have some really cool innovative mechanisms in those legs to attach to the car. So when you put that on the car, it goes on really easy. You can't even tell the straps are on it sometimes. It's a super clean install. So yeah, make sure if you're seeing Super Bones out there, take a look at one, see all the cool innovations that are in that product, because it's really neat.
Yeah, it looks like it's just floating on the vehicle.
Yeah. So a super hot product that we have, the Super Clamp EX. So we've been doing the Super Clamp for quite a few years now. Just about mid last year, we introduced the EX version. This rack is super lightweight. It's a 35-pound tray-style hitch rack. It has 2 shepherd hooks that comes over the top of each wheel. Nobody else has that. We have this dual shepherd hook design that's super secure, really quick to install the bikes. Once that's clamped on your bike, it doesn't move. It's on there very solid.
And nothing touches the frame.
No frame
No
contact.
frame contact.
Right?
That's
So,
what I like about it.
the bike zips in there very nicely,
Yeah.
right? But we can carry up to 60 pounds per bike on this. So in this 35-pound rack, it's rated for 60 pounds per bike. So e-bikes work in there really well. It's an incredible product. So it integrates locks to lock the bike to the rack, or bikes to the rack, and rack to the vehicle, so super secure. And then it does tilt away with bikes installed, folds up, so it's out of the way, and you'll fit up to 4-inch tires for those fat bikes. So this has been one of our really big sellers. It's an incredibly hot product, so we want to keep the momentum going with that Super Clamp EX.
I'm pretty sure it's the most popular bike rack in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
every employee can get any rack they want here,
Yeah,
and
that would be-
that's
yeah.
it.
I like it because I can put my large 29er bike on it, and then my 10-year-old's bike on it really
Yeah,
easily.
it
without
fits
having
everything.
To really fuss with anything.
Yeah. All right, so the aesthetic changes too. We've got some really cool reflective strips on the trays. So yeah, it looks really cool. I think it's one of our best looking products.
Is there a bottle opener on that thing too?
There is a bottle opener right in the center,
Asking the important
right in the
questions.
center lock module, right in the front, right before that tilt handle. Yes, you can,
Sounds like a rhetorical question.
pop your beverages
My
open on
cream soda,
that.
yeah.
So for post ride, cool down. So
Yeah,
definitely
important.
Mhm. A new product that we're launching very soon, the Glide EX, will be available after April 1st. This is a super innovative and cool rack. So this design is essentially it's a 4-bar linkage design in a mast hanging style hitch rack. And what this offers is a one-touch hatch access with bikes installed. Right, so there's other racks on the market that are like a swing away rack. You pull a pin and the whole rack swings away from the car. Those type of racks, they work well. They get out of the way, but they're inherently heavy. They're around 50 pounds for the rack, and they're big and they're bulky and they're steel. Our Glide rack is just about 37 pounds. It's an aluminum construction, so it's super lightweight. There's a nice big handle right on the backside, so you're walking up to the back of your vehicle with your baby and your 6-pack. You just grab that with one hand, glide the rack away with all the bikes installed, and they pop away, and you can get in the back of your vehicle, right? Put everything in super easy. And when you're bringing the rack back to the transport position, actually the weight of the bikes assists in bringing the rack back. So you're not actually lifting the weight of those 4 bikes up; they actually assist you in gliding it back to the transport position. So it's a super cool and innovative design. I'm really excited for y'all to see it and see those out in the wild and get your hands on one. We do have some cool new soft touch rubber straps to hold the bikes down. They're very easy to get tight and loose. We've got integrated locks. There's a 4 and 5 bike version of this, and then we are offering some cool colors in the 4 bike version. We've got a black, a blue, and like a really tight looking bronze. So yeah, this is a new product for 2018 that we're very excited about.
When's the estimated launch?
April 1st.
Cool.
Yeah, so we've got our pilot run coming up really soon. Some a little bit of final testing to do, but yeah, we're getting real close to getting this baby going.
And this was an interesting one too, because we launched this through Kickstarter, actually.
We did. We wanted to kind of generate some buzz on this and get some racks in the hands of some people and get them out on the road ahead of launch. Really kind of create a stir. And it's we were funded pretty swiftly after we launched the Kickstarter, and it was wildly successful. So we were very excited to get this out there.
Great, that's awesome.
Yeah. So while you're out there seeing racks, seeing people carrying racks, take a note of anything cool you see, any modifications that people are making to their own racks, any unique ways you're seeing people carry or store their bikes. We'd love to see it. Anything that someone's doing, any kind of DIYers, anything neat and innovative you're seeing out there, share that with us. We'd love to see that kind of thing. So it helps us develop and come up with ideas for future new cool, exciting products.
Yeah, I think that goes with all the brands. As we talk about the brands and what we're working on, and we certainly get a lot of ideas from our past brand advocates, from consumers in the field, on how they're trying to solve some problems. So that's a really good point.
Yeah, you guys are the eyes of what's hot out there, what's happening in the marketplace, and any communication on that is super valuable for us.
Absolutely. Sweet. My turn? All right, Cyclops. 23 years of innovation here. The Cyclops brand started in '95. It was a little company out of Minnesota at that time, and they had some troubles with some of their products and couldn't meet customers' expectations. They ended up selling in '98, and that's when Saris had the opportunity to bring that in as a Saris brand. And not only was it an important brand for the company, if you think about what we did prior to that was basically just car racks, and it was very seasonal. So bringing in the Cyclops allowed us to actually help keep our employees employed year round, because they balance each other really well. We're trainers in the winter, racks in the summer, so it's a really nice balance. So a lot more to the brand than just the products itself. We talked about a lot of the firsts that Saris had, and there's certainly a lot of firsts on the Cyclops side as well. Notably as trainers these day and age, smart trainers are the hot topic, and we'll talk about him here in a moment. But Cyclops released our very first smart trainer in 2002. At that time, there was only one other smart trainer on the market, and that was a CompuTrainer, kind of from the 90s. And so it's a category that Saris and Cyclops has always invested in, and we got some really great products out there today. But 2002 is where that started with us. In 2009, we released the very first wireless smart trainer. So we talked about the wireless power meter in 2006 and how a lot of the original employees that helped lay that groundwork are still here at Saris. And they are the employees that also helped kick off the very first wireless smart trainer. At that time, Zwift wasn't a thing, apps weren't really a thing, so we included a head unit that you could just simply control the trainer just from a head unit that you'd use to cycle outdoors, essentially. So really innovative back in the day on that. And then as we move forward, with the introduction to what we call kind of the virtual training side of things. So Zwift is probably about 3 years old right now. We launched, at the time it was called Cyclops Virtual Training, but it's changed to Ruby now. We launched that in 2012. So, far ahead of a lot of the training apps that are out there. It just shows the foresight and innovation that Cyclops puts forward. And we're starting to see a lot of the fruits of that really today in the market. And then last year, the big launch was the launch of our current generation of smart trainer. That's the Hammer direct drive trainer and the Magnus wheel-on trainer. So a little bit different approaches in how they operate, but they've been wildly successful, and hopefully all of you out there have an opportunity to ride one of these, because riding a smart trainer is really quite a different experience than riding, that standard fluid trainer. How it can respond to you and react to you, whether you're a casual rider just out for an easy spin, or you're a serious rider doing lots of training. There's lots of flexibility, lots of stuff you can do with these smart trainers, and not to mention they measure power, so you don't have to have a power meter necessarily. Obviously, we want you to, and lower prices will be great. But they do measure power, and especially a direct drive trainer. If you have that hub, you're removing that hub to use that trainer, so you still have that power reading. So a lot of the technology from the PowerTap side really plays well and spills into Cyclops products.
You mentioned at the beginning, but I think that's something, the employment base that we have here is an important story to tell about Saris and all of our brands. That from the bending and the welding to the fine soldering of electronics, to the engineers, 50 yards behind us, there's people in a tool shop right now making things, that are building these products here in Madison, Wisconsin, and it's the same workforce year round, assembling, bending, welding, stamping. It's
really impressive. When we say made in Madison, we literally mean made in Madison from the ground up. One of the few things we don't do here is painting.
Right.
But that's done within a few hours. And actually, when it comes to sourcing, like 90% of all of our sourcing is done within 3 hours in Madison, which is just crazy. So, really, the employees supporting the local economy, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Great company.
Keeps us light and nimble.
Yes, exactly. Classic trainers. So we made some changes for this year. Not really in the technology, but more in the offering. There used to be just a very large offering of non-smart trainers. Now, as you can imagine, as smart trainers have gotten more popular over the years, more and more people are buying those, and fewer people are buying, I would call it kind of the dumb trainer. We've reduced the lineup over the last few years, but this year we have 3 trainers in our classic, just the Mag, the Magneto, and the Fluid. And I didn't say on the last history slide, but also the Magneto is industry first for Cyclops. It is a progressive resistance magnetic trainer, first and only one out there available in the market that's like that. So really neat technology. So and still to this day, even though our smart trainers are more popular, that Fluid 2 trainer that we've been offering for years is still North America's #1 selling trainer, period. There's just the volume that those go out and is just huge. And like PowerTap, we actually changed some pricing a little bit. We reduced the price of the Fluid trainer by $50 this year. It's like the first time it's ever gone down in price. We've raised the price year after year because of its popularity in some cases, but we've actually taken $50 off, so it's a $299 for 2018. You'll see that starting to roll out here this next month, so I'm really excited about that.
Still the best trainer to warm up on site for a race.
Yeah, it's great. It's compact, it's simple, it's quiet. You bring it to races easily, because the last thing you want to deal with is plugging in a smart trainer at a race and doing anything like that. The Fluid trainer is certainly top notch. It's a new offering for the year. The trainer isn't new, but what it does is slightly different in the way we're talking about it. We're calling it Speed Smart. Essentially, it's a non-smart trainer that, with the addition of the PowerTap magnetless sensor, will be able to turn into essentially a smart trainer. It'll communicate the speed of the trainer and the speed of the rider to your training app, whether that is our Ruby software, or whether that is Zwift, or whether that's Trainer Road. All of these platforms support this. Which is really well known, but it's going to be essentially a kit that you can purchase out of the box, and it'll be ready to connect to these training software applications that are very popular out there. So what it does essentially, it uses the power curve of the trainer that I show on the page here to let the software application know at what speed what power output you're putting out at a certain speed. So it's a really neat technology, and allows people, without spending the money for a smart trainer, to experience what these apps have to offer. And then on the smart trainer side, really just kind of continuing with the Hammer and Magnus. Like I said, they've been out in the market for just a little over a year now. Incredibly successful products. The direct drive, you got to remove that wheel, and the trainer becomes your rear wheel. Whereas the Magnus is a wheel-on trainer, so the wheel stays on, and you have that tire to roller contact, versus on the direct drive, you're literally directly driving the trainer through your drivetrain. That's where that name comes from. But really popular products, and as far as kind of what it goes for the brand advocates for 2018, it's the continued year of the smart trainer, and really talking about what it's capable of, the benefits of it, the compatibility. It fits the bill for everything. As we talk about, that wireless connectivity, similar on the PowerTap side. So that's really the take-home point for Cyclops this year, is smart trainers, and we're going to continue to develop in this space. And there's some really cool things that we're looking at on the Cyclops side. I don't have any slides for you, though. We'll be looking at possibly some releases of some product this year, but really we're taking a look at, we've brought in the smart trainer indoors to have that immersion into the Zwift side of things, but we're also looking at bringing the movement indoors. So, picture as you ride outside, there's a lot of movement that bike's doing underneath you. We're working on ways where we can incorporate that movement on an indoor ride, which is going to be really cool, and I can't wait to talk to you guys more on that.
So I'll leave everyone with sort of a final thought, and that is, while you guys are all advocates for the Saris brand, we would hope that you would also be advocates for cycling in general, and make all of your communities more bike friendly. And whether you are in a community that has miles and miles of protected bike lanes and it's a platinum city, or you're living in a small community where you're maybe one of a handful of people that are known for riding your bike, there are ways to make your community more bike friendly. All the way from going to City Hall, or going and joining your local bike advocacy group, or even just telling your local coffee shop that you want to stop locking your bike to the tree and actually have a bike rack. So I think the world is a better place with more butts on bikes, and we would hope that you would buy into that and help us spread that cause.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much for your time. Hopefully that was insightful, and we're here for you guys. If there's questions, please let us know, and we're gonna have a great 2018. So thank you very much.
Thanks.